Okay. Welcome everyone to today's author talk. My name is Whitney Davidson Rhodes. You don't actually need to know that whole thing. And I am here today with Tabrisha Jones, and we are for the Tea and Chat author talk, hosted by Cup of Tea with That Book Please, a blog website full of book reviews, recommendations, related news reports, original writings, and of course, tea. And we will be in conversation today with our special guest, Harvey Hamer, author of The Diamond Dimensions, Tales from the Void. We want to give a big thank you to our future viewers. You could be doing a number of things right now, but you decided to tune in for this virtual author event. And any links and resources shared during this presentation will be shared with attendees on the Cup of Tea with That Book Please blog. Next slide. Amazing. If you are a fan of books as much as we are, pop culture and the power of friendship, check out Fake Book Club podcasts. Our 2 seasons are already out wherever you get your podcast, and we talk about our favorite and not so favorite reads, current events, again, pop culture, nostalgia, and my personal favorite, K-pop. And you can follow us and go to our website at fatebookclubpodcast.wordpress.com. And with that, I will now pass along to Jabrija to introduce our author. So without further ado, take it away.
Thank you, Whitney, and hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Sabrisha, and I am the creator of the Cup of Tea with That Book, Please. And I have the extreme pleasure of introducing our guest today for our podcast, Harvey Hamer. So, Harvey, thank you again for joining us this afternoon for us, evening for, for
Yeah,
you. So, thank you.
thank you for having me.
So I want to give a bio of our special guest for today. So Harvey Hammer lives in Southeast England and writes across a range of mediums. He began self-publishing his Diamond Dimensions universe of 30 books at age 12. His debut byline was in the pages of the international magazine Star Wars Insider, with articles about that franchise's art history, inspirations, and a biography of fan favorite Captain Rex. His poetry debut was Processing in the New York Public Library's Library Zine, Volume 8, and his comics debut, Rise and Fall, was a one-page exploration of infinity in WIP Comics' Broken Frontier Award-nominated 2025 anthology. He was commended by the Wilbur Smith Adventure Writing Author of Tomorrow Prize, had an award-winning pilot script on Coverfly, and was longlisted for Adventures in Fiction Spotlight First Novel Award. Harvey's currently lead writer of The Diamond Adventures, available to wishlist on Steam, and he's constantly inspired by artists of all sorts, from the earliest cave painters to modern singer-songwriters. So that's a very extensive bio. So thank you so much out of your busy schedule for
Thank
taking
you.
the time to join us. So yes, we are here to talk about the Diamond Dimension. So for those who have not had a chance to read it, could you briefly tell us what the Diamond Dimensions Tales from the Void is about?
Yeah, so Tales from the Void is a book of short stories set within a multiverse that I started when I was 12. So it's a multiverse, it's got lots of fantasy elements and sci-fi elements, all the things I was interested in, and it's based on a YouTuber's series and worlds. And so I've matched that all together into a big multiverse. And these short stories take place from ancient Egypt to into the future.
Amazing. So the full title is The Diamond Dimensions Volume 4.5 Anniversary Edition.
Yeah, there's a lot of subtitles on it.
And that's fantastic. But congratulations on this milestone of having an anniversary edition. So what makes this one so special? Like, how long have you been creating these types of stories and publishing them? Also, we will be addressing Star Wars. I will find a way to bring up Star Wars in this
Mhm.
conversation. Uh, but feel
Yeah.
free to answer this question first.
Yeah, so it's an anniversary edition. I released it at 10 years since I actually met Dan TDM, who's the YouTuber that I based the series on. So I was a big fan of Minecraft, watched lots of Let's Plays, and I saw somebody else had actually written a book with a YouTuber and so published it on Amazon on Kindle. And so I thought, at this point, I'd already started writing a novel when I was 10. So then this was when I was 12, and I thought I could do that. So I started novelizing his series. And then I met him at a convention in November 2014, yeah, when I was 12, and gave him kind of some sample chapters. And the next time I saw him, he gave me permission to self-publish the first volume. And then now we're 13, well, yeah, it will be 13 years in a bit, but years later. And 30 books later. They're not all individual titles, but some of them were like omnibus volumes and different collections. And then I'm also including this anniversary edition in that 30. But 22 separate titles in the multiverse I created across three main series.
Can you tell us about those main series? So you submitted to
Yeah.
us this anniversary edition, which has like so many different uh stories and overlapping and again different dimensions and a whirlpool and fantasy elements and ancient history. But can you talk to us a little bit about the earlier work for those or like what kind of led up to these as well?
Yeah, it'll be fun to go through it. So yeah, so it started with the Diamond Dimensions, and that was based on Dan's Diamond Dimensions series. But I actually, from the Let's Play, I added in a lot more story elements and different things that I'd already picked up, like an ancient prophecy, and it's kind of second world portal fantasy in the way that actually a machine, kind of like H.G. Wells' time machine, but it sends him to a different dimension instead of a different time. So it's a world full of fantasy creatures, and his goal is to get home. And so through that, he meets lots of different creatures and other beings. And one of those was mentioned in Dan's series, but was never expanded on, beside a mysterious note that he finds. But he never actually picked up the story after that. So I took that character, made them, you think they were an antagonist, but really they're helping him out. And then I wrote an origins book for that character, which was called The Watcher. And then this was kind of at the time, I suppose I was 13, 14, I was really expanding the multiverse, getting a lot more influences in. So I wrote 4.5 as a way to trace backstories of lots of different characters across the different worlds. And also, the 4.5 is that there's two short stories that take place between volume 4 and 5 that then set up the second series, which was called The Watchers, which went a deep dive into this organization of beings that they live between worlds in the multiverse and they watch over all of existence and write it all down in an endless library basically in this void between worlds. And then the third series, my dad's also a writer, and we'd co-written something before, but he thought he'd want to give the Minecraft self-published fiction a shot. So we came up with an idea, and well, a lot of it was his idea, but I just wove in a character from the Watcher's origins to tie it into the larger multiverse. So that was a four-book series that we finished as I was 18, as I was doing my A levels. Very unwisely, I was finishing off all these series and releasing an omnibus. Uh, yeah, a big omnibus, everything put together. So it was a full-on time, but we wrapped it all up nicely before I left school.
What are A levels? I have a very American education, so my
Yeah, they're the exams we take at the end of secondary education before then going to university. So you specialize in, I mean, at my school we did three different A-level subjects. Like I did English, maths, and psychology. And then that sets you up to get into different universities depending on what you get in those A levels.
so English, math, and psychology.
Yeah,
That's and writing a book.
and
Several
writing.
books.
Yeah, and writing. I think because I mean the fact that my A-level years were 2020 and 2021, so I'd actually had a lot of time not at school, which meant I think I wrote 6 books over the lockdowns whilst doing just different Zoom lessons. So it was nice to be able to escape into this multiverse and escape the outside world when I couldn't leave the house really. And yeah, the writing was a good thing to keep me going just through all the Zoom lessons and wondering if I'd actually get back to school to take the exams, which sadly I did. But no, it was good. I'm glad I went back really.
I have to admire you for taking psychology because that had to be really tough. Because we have something similar here. It's called, well, for New York State, it's Regents. We have to take
Mm.
Regents in order to go to college and to graduate high school. But to do it during the pandemic, that's also another achievement because I don't know how people were able to do school, whether doing your A levels or going to university during when the entire world is locked down, and also writing a book at the same time. That's still amazing because I had a hard time like concentrating. So I applaud you for that. Um, but you did mention Dantum, a YouTuber that was a huge inspiration for you in your work. Could you talk more about how he inspired you? And then also what other creators that influenced you and your work?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, initially it was just watching his Minecraft series, but the thing that he did differently to others was that he created characters kind of in quite an improv way, just created characters off the fly from different interactions he'd have in game, but then they gained a whole life of their own, and he built up a whole family tree, fictional universe around all these characters. And to see him do that, I think then that really echoed what I started to do based off his work, and I was pulling in more things and taking little snippets like the Watcher's Note and expanding that into a 5 book series and an Origins book. And also, I mean, Dan, he was just as a person, he's a big inspiration because he does a lot of work for charity. He he's often looking out for children's safety online because obviously most people that watched his content were children. So, and I mean, he was just generally very supportive of me. I think I've met him 6 times now over the years, and every time, I'd have a different paperback to give him, and he'd say, "Well, you're still going. That's amazing," and he'd answer all my questions. And then, actually, during the lockdown, when I was finishing off some of the series, and he was streaming a lot on Twitch, I'd send some messages in the chat and he'd go, "Oh, I remember you. Keep going at that." That's when I'd tell him what I was up to, and yeah, so to have his support constantly as I was doing it, and the support of his fans, meant a lot, and is why I carried on doing the series beyond the first book. Other inspirations, I'd say, in terms of writing, Rick Riordan was a big inspiration. I was a big Percy Jackson fan. And actually, in a way, I was inspired a lot by the way he structured his kind of multiverse in the way that the Dumb Dimensions could be considered Percy Jackson. And then he did Heroes of Olympus, which brought in Roman mythology and had a lot more different POVs, which is what I did with the Watchers. And then, I mean, he expanded into ancient Egyptian and Norse mythologies as well. But definitely his writing style and his chapter style, his POVs influenced a lot of my work as I was growing up as well.
I feel like Rick Riordan very much came to us in our for a lot of us in our formative years, like with Percy Jackson. Um, but now he's like branched off into other things. Have you watched the show? Do you have strong feelings or one way or the other about them?
Not, I mean, I've very much enjoyed the show. I don't understand quite a lot of the debate online. I think as adaptations go, it's it's as good as you can do, and I like some of the decisions they've made to changes to the story. So can't fault them for that really. It's a lot of fun to watch.
I think I'm very behind. I think I've only watched the first season, so don't be mad. But no,
Well,
I agree. I like the changes as well. I like the characters. I think the actors themselves have great chemistry amongst each other, as even like with the people that play their parents and stuff. So
Hmm.
I think it's a great cast of folks.
Yeah, I think especially in season two, you'll see even more they kind of grow into it, and the mythological aspects become a lot more epic in scale, I suppose, in the second book and in the second series.
Yeah, well, when you get Disney money, you can
Yeah.
do all, like
So, yeah.
do all of the things. And for future viewers or like people who will like come back on this recording, either to watch it or listen to it, um, the cover of this book for Tales of the Void has a bunch of pictures of you and Dan on it. So
Yeah.
I think that was very like sweet to incorporate him, and it's such a great reflection of like the course of your journey through pictures, like writing, knowing Dan, being a fan of his, but then also like writing these stories. So for those who will go back and watch this or listen to it, definitely check out this book. Um, kind of going back, uh, this it's an anniversary. It's a reworking of like your original stories, some characters. It's like a bunch of overlapping connected stories, but which one out of these were your favorite? I kind of like the setup with the Pharaoh,
Mhm.
but I would love to get your personal favorite out of what that is from this book.
Yeah. I think because a few of them do expand on and kind of novelize some of Dan's videos, but I think yeah, the favorite ones are when I was taking real world things and kind of bringing them into the multiverse I'd created. So yeah, like the Pharaoh story. But also, I always like the story I wrote of young Dan when he's a child because I actually brought in real aspects from his real world life, which maybe I wouldn't do now, but and kind of put myself in his shoes, which at the time, obviously, I still was a child. So that's one I look back on really fondly. But the first few I all wrote on a school trip. I took a little notebook with me, so I'd already kind of planned out what they would be and was just sitting in my tent writing some of those first few. So they'll stick with me more because I have that tactile memory of actually sitting in a tent in Spain and putting pen to paper.
Sorry, I'm going back and forth on my tablet because Zoom does not like Google Docs. My Zoom does not like Google Docs. But no, you saying like with the little notebook, carrying the little notebook around. I used to do that when I was a kid too, and I still do it because it's just like how you're able to like look around your surroundings and your world, and you're with like how we gather information so much. Like everything is trying to grasp our attention, and then we just forget like how we all the like what we may have decided we saw and we need to jot it down and we forget like having like a little notebook to carry around to make sure that we have all our information, all the information that we are looking for towards the story. I think that is just a great way, and I think also like a great advice for like budding writers to have and to like, make sure like so they have an idea of like to get like a notebook of ideas so they can incorporate it into their stories. Like um would you say like having that notebook and all also other stuff is that part of your writing process, or what would you say is like the most difficult part of your writing process?
I think the most difficult part actually is getting lost in the research with what I'm writing at the moment. I'm writing a lot of historical things, and I could spend weeks trying to get every detail right, looking at all these archaeological websites and things. And even, I mean, I went to Rome last year, and I still haven't. I took 4,000 photos, wrote a lot of notes, and have yet to get any of them into an actual document. So sifting through that is my biggest challenge. But yeah, bringing a notebook really is good advice because I think my process, normally I'll get out a rough draft of something and then the best decisions and sometimes I think my best lines of writing normally come when I'm out on a walk or not at the keyboard and something will come into my head and I need to write it down. And with my poetry as well. Normally, most of the lines come to me as I'm walking and I just see something or I just think of something and then I write them down that way compared to, yeah, sitting at the desk with some music on, which is normally how I get into the writing process.
Do you, and this is something that I found when I'm writing like stuff for my blog that I have to, whether I'm doing it on my tablet or on the computer, that I have to somehow disable the internet because I find myself like stop writing and then we'll just constantly go to the internet to browse something. Do you find that you have to like put yourself into a zone to make sure that there's no as many distractions like compared to before the pandemic and compared to how you're writing after the pandemic? Because I personally have found myself that I need to like really make sure that I'm free from distractions when I am writing stuff out in a Word document.
Yeah, no, it's something I can definitely improve on as well. I still have my phone next to me, which is often very tempting to see what that notification is, and I could do make more effort to silence that. But yeah, actually, yeah, it's something I did realize in the pandemic. That's when I started really listening to a lot of music and kind of using my headphones as a way to retreat into it as well. And that's stuck with me, that process. So I think if there's music that can distract some part of my brain, then I do. That's how I focus more. And often it is choosing things that are the right sort of mood for what I'm writing, which then actually helps the artistic process a lot more as well, getting in the right headspace.
So this is kind of like so in the weeds a little bit, and probably gonna come off so cheesy, but Tarisha and I are also like huge like stationery people. And we're talking about notebooks. So, do you? I have more notebooks than I actually write in. But do you have like your go-to notebook? This is, we're not an ad, or this doesn't have to be an ad, but is there like, are you the type of person that just sticks to one notebook or one pen, or is just kind of just like anything that you see and you think is cool? I personally am when it comes to pens, I love Papermate. I will do a Papermate pen. I don't know if that's like a huge brand over there where you are in the UK, but um, and Tabrija is like, are you also like are you a Papermate person? You're like a quill and
I'm
ballpoint pen
no,
person.
I am not quill and ink. I've tried. That's expensive. That's nice for decorative stuff, but be realistic. I will like Papermate or Bic.
Yes.
But
So
yeah,
give us your best, like, what's your go-to journal
Mhm.
style, or like pen and paper, or are you a pencil person? Because that's actually surprisingly what I've noticed. Some of our other authors and creators are more pencil people than pen people. So how about that?
Yeah, no, I definitely used to be more of a pencil person, actually. And I think writing, yeah, writing fiction, I tend to stick in pencil most of the time. I don't have anything fancy really. It's just whatever pens to hand. Yeah, normally a big biro or something. I have had a notebook that I've carried with me since I was 13 that came on all my school trips and things. And that actually has a stormtrooper on the front. It was a Christmas gift. And actually, a lot of the notebooks that I do use were gifts for different things. My parents think, what can they get me? We'll get them a notebook with a different brand on the front. So I have a Stranger Things notebook. I have a 21 Pilots notebook. I have another one that I use for just different writing projects. It kind of, yeah, different notebooks for each genre or medium of thing that I'm writing. But the Stormtrooper one has been by my bedside for 10 years now, and it's still not full up because I just use it for certain special things. All those original short stories that made this book are in that one. That comes with me everywhere.
No, that's really great. Yeah, I also have notebooks from when I was in my teens as well, that I haven't had the hard to get rid of.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm, same. It's like when your family finds out that you like to write or you're just a reader, that's their go-to gift for you. It's a notebook. I
it's always
have
a
so many
notebook.
notebooks in my house.
Yeah, notebooks, pens, like the actually I have like this, you probably can't see it because I'm like, but I got these
Mhm.
as a gift for my birthday. They're like the watercolor markers or whatever. Um, but looping back to your writing, because this is why we're here. How do you decide when a story is ready to share with the world? Because you've been just putting it out there. Obviously, for some of your stories, you got like approval with from Dan. Uh, but what other, how else do you know that you're ready to put your work out there for the world to see?
Yeah, yeah. Well, in those early days, it was just I'd give it a proofread, and that would be the second draft, and then my parents would check it for me, and then that would go out on the internet. Now I do, even though I'm still really just getting started with other fiction projects, so I'm a part of a few different local and more general Discord groups that we do occasionally swap things where I can put up like, I'm querying this book and here's my synopsis. What do you think? And then I'll get lots of good advice that way, which definitely helps. But it's still my dad is still my primary proofreader, but he is good at being impartial because he is a writer himself, so he will tell me when things aren't working, which is good.
So are you your biggest critic or like
Or my
do you
dad.
or do you get like how did you find your Discord community and like writing and knowing that you can have this safe space to share your work to get that feedback and obviously like you work with your dad, so I don't know if your dad would be, do you find your dad to be more honest or like more like softening of the feedback that he gives you?
I think more honest with the writing itself, but this Discord group has professional, traditionally published authors, which know a lot more about the industry in terms of. That's why I take my synopsis and query to them, because they'll definitely tell me a lot more honestly if something's not working in that. And yeah, I found the main groups I'm on. I met a few of the authors um, at a convention in London, I think, but then I met them all a lot more and went to their kind of their group's party at Worldcon 2024 when it was in Glasgow. And that's when I met a lot more of the members and I properly joined the Discord. And I still don't use it as much as I should, but I just like to see what people are talking about on there. These traditionally published authors always have a lot to say about the industry, so it's good to get that feed constantly of what they're going through. And then hopefully when my time comes, I'll have all that advice already waiting for me.
All right, so we've moved on to a special feature that we have on our podcast where we have all our guests do. It's the this or that, like the bookish edition. So we ask you a couple of questions, you choose which one you prefer. So like our audience members can like, get a better feel of your personality. Uh, the first one we're going to ask is paperback or hardback.
Hardback. I've especially recently all the special editions that come out, I can't resist them.
There was like one I saw recently with sprayed edges, and I was like, oh, so beautiful. But my wallet can't
Yeah,
take.
that is the problem.
Yeah. Um, read one book at a time or read multiple books at a time.
One book at a time, mostly. I think definitely one fiction book at a time that I normally just read before bed, and then first thing when I wake up. Sometimes I'll have non-fiction books on the go during the day, but they're just for research for what I'm writing, so really just one book at a time.
I wish I can do that. I think ever since um being in like high school and university, I can just read multiple books at a time. I can't read one book one book at a time
Oh,
anymore.
I don't have that kind of attention span. Like, like too many things start to like merge together. I'm like, oh, well, did this storyline happen in this book or that book? Well, we read across genres, obviously, but sometimes I'm like, did the dragon slay the detective in the like whatever?
I
Except
mean, I feel like if there's a dragon and a detective, I have a feeling you will remember that story. So I don't think
you never know. Batman is a detective and he got transported into medieval times and also like the Tokyo, like what was it? Like the Edo period of Tokyo. So like you never know. You
You never
never
know.
know.
okay. So maybe you probably won't like this one, Whitney. But one POV or two or more points of view.
Two or more. Yeah, I think obviously my first few books were just Dan's point of view, but then as I expanded, I haven't really gone back anymore. Normally have at least 2 to 5 POVs in what I'm writing, long form.
Yeah. I think it depends on the type of story you're telling because it can like you can have like a space opera with many points of view or just a standalone mystery and it could just you be following that one person throughout the entire story. Okay. Hard copy or ebook or audio.
Hard copy. Yeah. I've read a few things. Actually, recently I've been reading some arcs on a little tablet, getting some ebook arcs.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've never ventured into a Kindle or anything. It's always just been hard copy for me.
Yeah. I prefer hard copy, but I like listening to audiobooks. I've been getting into listening to audiobooks, especially if it's a good narrator. But I always prefer a good hard copy. Um, the library or a bookstore.
Probably gonna have to go with a bookstore.
We don't feel bad. It's okay.
No.
Okay. It's okay. Can you tell it why a bookstore? I guess it's more options, less weight, maybe, or
Yeah, and I mean most of the time I'm just browsing anyway, but I like my local bookstores, going around there and seeing all the things from local authors. Or Forbidden Planet in London, I spend a long time browsing there. I should go to more libraries, but my local library is pretty small. But yes, I'm gonna have to go to bookstores.
yeah. We're very obviously we are over here in New York City. So we're very spoiled with bookstores. We are obviously librarians. So um I have yet to I only buy books that the library doesn't have or if there's like a signing. We also have a Forbidden Planet in New
Mhm.
York. So if you ever make your way to New York for whatever reason, you should have to check it out. It's in I want to say it's Lower
Or
Manhattan, 14th
yeah,
Street, yeah. Union
but
Square kind of.
I went to London 2 years ago and I went to that Forbidden Planet. It's amazing. That it puts the one in New York to shame.
Oh,
It's
of course. Is it
it's like it was so massive. I was like,
Oh,
I
well,
didn't think if this store could be so big.
well, now I'm jealous. So, Harvey,
Yeah,
you're
it
gonna have
was
to
really
send us
good.
like photos next time you go.
Yeah, there is also I think the largest bookstore in Europe
Hmm.
in London, which is a Waterstones that I think it's got six floors or maybe more.
Yeah.
Which I spent even longer in. I rarely go to that one because I rarely make it out.
You just leave with like a stack of books that are like
Yeah.
as tall as you. Yeah. That is the danger of bookstores for me. So that's why it's not the more of a preference. I know like I'm a little biased because I am a librarian, but that the dangers of buying things is too great for me, and I pivot my money into like food and buying K-pop CDs, but
Yeah.
because that you can't get. But a bookstore, I'm like, I'll wait, or I have a Kindle Unlimited subscription, so that and that's for books you can't really get at the library or even at a bookstore, and so that's uh my alternative to that.
Okay, next up we have bookmarks or page corner fold.
Bookmarks. I don't. Yeah, there's no. That's the only right answer.
Thank you. See, Whitney? Thank you.
Look. I if it's mine, I'm a dog ear the pages. I don't care. It's but yes,
Oh,
I'm a dog eared pages person. I don't always have a bookmark. And I can always unfold the pages. It's fine. As long as
the
you're not
crease is
writing, I'm
already
not writing
there.
in
And we're not saying like, oh, get a fancy bookmark at like Waterstones or the Strand bookstore. You could use an envelope.
or receipt paper,
Mhm.
Exactly.
but I'm still gonna dog ear my
Oh
pages.
my God. All right. Like, okay. We have a couple, just a few more, Harvey. So, read in silence or read with music.
Silence. Yeah. I
Really?
don't think I haven't read to music often at all. Just occasionally, if an author puts on a soundtrack, I'll see what that's like, but never for long.
Okay. Yeah, I've gotten so used to reading with sound. I can't, it's, I find it very creepy if I read in silence. I don't know why. I just I have to have something. Either if it's like the TV at low volume or music, it just has to be in the background. Um, Series or standalones.
Probably series on the whole. I mean, most of the things that I read are already part of big universes, or if not, they're author's own fantasy or sci-fi universes that have multiple entries.
And the last one, reading with tea or reading with coffee.
The
Yay.
yeah.
I'm always the minority. It's always like I'm a coffee person. I'm like, I had coffee this morning for breakfast. When we're done with this, I will probably make another pot of coffee. Um, or get like a can of Coca-Cola or something. I don't know. But something to feed the
Probably drink
caffeine.
coffee. That's a
Yeah.
little bit healthier than a can of Coke.
True. True. But I have and then we'll get to our last couple questions. I do have a fancy coffee machine, so I might just do that courtesy of my brother. Gave me like a Breville, so I'm like, hell yeah. Now I can make my own lavender oat milk lattes in my house.
Very nice.
So we have a couple more questions for you. And one of them is you throughout this conversation, you have been hinting that you're doing research for some books. Can you tell us about them just a little
Yeah,
bit? Can we be in the know about the stuff you're working on?
you can be. So the first book that I started writing when I was 10, I returned to that story when I was 14. I wrote it as a play, and then I wrote it as a feature screenplay, and through that I developed the plot a lot more and wrote it into a novel, which is a novel that I'm querying. I've also written a sequel to that novel, even though I'm querying the first, just because. And but the book I'm writing at the moment is loosely related. It deals with lots of the same ancient history concepts, cave art, and Neolithic beliefs and places in Britain. So I'm doing a lot of research across kind of the very earliest art, which is now they think they found some in Sulawesi in Indonesia, which is 65,000 years old, cave paintings. So from there all the way up to now I'm writing about Roman Britain and ancient Rome and ancient India as well. So I'm writing at the moment, I'm writing the longest short story I've ever written. I think I'm a year and a half into it, because it traces an object across from prehistoric Britain through time, then to Roman Britain, and then it gets traded across the Roman Empire and ends up in a Buddhist temple in India, in what's now Mumbai. So I've been researching a lot of what all these cities across the known world at that time would have would have looked like in all this connected trade route. And so yeah, lots of museum websites and yeah, that's it's a deep bit of research, but hopefully I'll come out the other side with something I can actually trim down.
Well, we're looking forward to it. And then before we get to our last question, kind of two follow-up questions to that. One is, are you planning to visit any of these places that you're researching before, just to get a more hands-on in-person sense? And then second, is this gonna be like more, is it like historical fantasy, historical sci-fi, or just plain historical as far as like the genre of it all?
Yeah, it's historical with just, I suppose, loosely speculative elements, kind of a general sci-fi idea, or just even a modern science notion that we have, um, blended with some fantasy tropes like, a magical gem or a magical sword, but root as much as I can in exactly what things would have looked like and how things were.
Amazing. So we're at our final question.
Mhm.
And this is a question that we ask all of our creators and authors and writers. And it's called a book talk, and it's just like a 30-second to 1 minute elevator pitch of why folks should read your book. And it doesn't just necessarily have to be Tales from the Void. It could be your overarching stories as well, because this is a in between story.
Mhm.
Um, and it doesn't have to be, it can be as elaborate or as simple as you want it to be. One of our favorite anecdotes is one of our favorite creators who we had on here. He was like, "This is the book. You should read it. Look at the pages. They're amazing." And then that was it. So, so feel free to kind of, or you can just be like, follow us on this magical journey through the tales of time and uh, be a little bit more poetic because you are a poet. So yeah, we will give you a couple seconds to kind of think through, and then you can start whenever you're ready.
I better have a sip.
Yay!
I don't know how poetic it'll be, but I'd say the Dharma Dimensions in general, if you're a fan of sci-fi wacky machines and science experiments gone wrong, if you're a fan of ancient mythology or giant fantasy universes, large battles, mysterious notes, and especially for Tales of the Void, if you've wondered about ancient Egyptian history and want to find out what happened to the one pharaoh whose tomb we haven't found, that story is in the book. If you want to see a story from the point of view of a dog that gets lost in the jungle, we've got that story. If you want some mad scientists or pigmen in a hellish dimension, they're all in there. Yeah, here we go. And if you want to see photos of me when I was younger, they're on there somewhere. Don't know how that's looking. There we go.
Yay! Yay! Thank you so much. Tabrija, I'm gonna let you take us home.
There you go. It was supposed to start there, but it just decided not to. Uh, so you heard it here. Make sure to get a copy of the Diamond Dimension series. Even though we did talk a little bit about this one, that was like in the anniversary edition, that's interfiled in the entire series. Um, you can always get the rest of the series on the Amazon at the Amazon digital bookstore. And also make sure to follow Harvey. He has a newsletter which we will be putting in the links on our website, and also follow him on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and also we'll include his link tree. So there are many different ways that you can follow Harvey and also upkeep with his amazing writing. But thank you so much, Harvey, for joining us this afternoon. This was a very great conversation to be a part of, and I hope you enjoyed it as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
It
I
was
should say as well, yeah, on my link tree, it has the links to the omnibus collections, which is well, definitely the best way to read through the universe because I edited some things. This was when I was 18, I put these out, so it's a bit more of a reflection of my writing at the time compared to the first few books. And the omnibuses are all in chronological order, so it's even all short stories spliced in between books, how they would fall. So it's an interesting way to read it if you want to try that way. They're harder to find on Amazon, but they are there.
okay. Well, we'll make sure to provide the links to that so we don't so our listeners don't have a difficult time
Yeah,
discovering it.
thank
Um,
you.
you're welcome. But that is the end of today's conversation. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Follow us we're on many platforms. We are on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. You can subscribe to our website so you can be in the know of any upcoming author events and recordings that we'll have. You can follow the Tea and Books Chat podcast anywhere you listen and get your podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to follow and subscribe us. Thank you, Harvey, again, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Harvey, and thank you,
Yeah.
everyone.